Have you ever finished breakfast and felt hungry again just an hour later? Or maybe you noticed your energy fading before lunchtime, even though you thought you had eaten something healthy. For many older adults, the problem isn't always how much they eat. It's what they're eating first thing in the morning. Some of the most popular breakfast foods can cause blood sugar to rise much faster than people realize. And over time, those repeated spikes may affect your energy, your heart, and even your long-term health. Today, we'll look at the breakfast foods that often catch seniors by surprise, and more importantly, what you can choose instead. Imagine starting every morning with a breakfast you've trusted for years, only to discover it could be causing your blood sugar to rise more than you expected. The surprising part is that some foods marketed as healthy can have this effect too. If you're over 60, knowing which foods deserve a second look could help you make simple changes that support steadier energy throughout the day. And before we finish, I'll share one breakfast mistake that even many health-conscious people make without realizing it. Good morning, and welcome back. Breakfast is often called the most important meal of the day. Whether that's true for everyone is still debated. But one thing is clear: the foods you eat in the morning can influence how you feel for the rest of the day. On screen, breakfast choices matter. As we get older, our bodies change. Muscles naturally become smaller if we don't stay active. Hormones that help control blood sugar also become less efficient. That means the same breakfast you enjoyed 20 years ago may affect your body differently today. Blood sugar simply means the amount of glucose, or natural sugar, circulating in your bloodstream. Think of it like fuel in your car. You need enough to keep moving, but too much arriving all at once can put extra strain on the system. If blood sugar rises quickly and often, the body has to work harder to bring it back down. Over time, that can become more challenging, especially for people with prediabetes or diabetes. The encouraging news is that small changes can make a meaningful difference. You don't have to give up breakfast. You don't have to eat expensive foods. And you certainly don't have to follow extreme diets. Sometimes, simply swapping one item for another is enough to create a steadier start to your day. But before we get to those better choices, let's begin with one breakfast food that surprises almost everyone. On screen, breakfast food hash 1. Many breakfast cereals look healthy. The box might say whole grain, heart healthy, or contains vitamins. Those statements can all be true, but they don't tell the whole story. Many packaged cereals also contain large amounts of added sugar and highly processed grains. Processing simply means the grain has been broken down into smaller pieces. Imagine the difference between chopping a log into tiny sticks. The smaller pieces burn much faster. Your body often treats processed grains the same way. They can be digested quickly, causing glucose to enter the bloodstream faster. Even cereals that don't taste especially sweet can have this effect. Now, that doesn't mean every cereal is a poor choice. The key is reading the nutrition label. Look for cereals with plenty of fiber and very little added sugar. Fiber acts like a traffic controller. Instead of letting all the glucose rush into your bloodstream at once, it helps slow things down. A bowl of high-fiber cereal with plain Greek yogurt and a handful of berries often creates a much more balanced breakfast than sugary flakes alone. Here's a simple example. Mary pours herself a large bowl of sweet cereal with low-fat flavored milk. By 10 o'clock, she's hungry again and reaches for cookies. John eats plain oatmeal topped with blueberries and chopped walnuts. He feels satisfied until lunch. The difference isn't just the calories. It's how those foods affect blood sugar and fullness. And speaking of oatmeal, there's something important many people misunderstand about it. We'll come back to that in just a moment. On screen, breakfast food hash 2. Fruit juice. This one surprises many people. After all, it's made from fruit. Fruit contains vitamins, minerals, and natural plant compounds that support health. So what's the problem? When fruit is turned into juice, much of the fiber is removed. Without that fiber, the natural sugars can be absorbed much more quickly. Think about eating an orange. You chew it slowly. The fiber fills you up. Now compare that with drinking a large glass of orange juice in just a few minutes. It's much easier to consume the juice from several oranges than it is to eat several whole oranges. That means you're getting much more sugar in a shorter amount of time. On screen, whole fruit versus juice. If you enjoy juice, you don't necessarily have to eliminate it forever. But many specialists recommend choosing whole fruit more often. Whole fruit provides the same natural sweetness, along with fiber that helps slow digestion. If you really enjoy juice, consider having a smaller serving alongside a meal that contains protein instead of drinking a large glass by itself. Those small adjustments can help create a steadier response. Now here's something interesting. The next breakfast food isn't sweet at all, yet it can still cause blood sugar to rise quickly if you're not careful. On screen, breakfast food #3. White toast. Toast feels harmless. Many people have eaten it every morning for decades. But white bread is made from refined flour. Refined simply means parts of the grain have been removed. Those removed parts include much of the fiber. Without that fiber, the starch is broken down rapidly into glucose. That's why 2 slices of white toast with jam can sometimes raise blood sugar faster than people expect. The good news? You don't have to stop eating toast. Instead, think about building a better breakfast around it. Choose whole grain bread whenever possible. Add eggs, cottage cheese, nut butter or avocado. Protein and healthy fats help slow digestion and keep you feeling satisfied longer. It's like adding sturdy support beams to a bridge. Everything becomes steadier. One mistake many people make is eating only carbohydrates at breakfast. Carbohydrates are your body's main source of energy, but when they're eaten alone, especially refined ones, they often digest much faster. Adding protein changes the picture. Research has consistently shown that balanced meals containing protein, fiber, and healthy fats tend to support steadier blood sugar after eating compared with meals made mostly of refined carbohydrates. That doesn't mean every breakfast has to be perfect. Healthy eating is about patterns, not perfection. One balanced breakfast won't erase months of unhealthy habits, and one less balanced breakfast won't ruin your health either. The goal is making better choices most of the time. Before we move on, I'd like to mention something important. This video is for general health education. It isn't personal medical advice. Everyone's health needs are different, so it's always a good idea to check with your doctor or another qualified healthcare professional about your own situation, especially if you have diabetes or take medications that affect blood sugar. Coming up next, we'll look at a breakfast favorite that's often advertised as healthy, but can contain far more sugar than many people expect. We'll also talk about one morning habit that may matter just as much as the food itself. On screen, breakfast food #4. Let's continue with another breakfast choice that often surprises people: flavored yogurt. Now, yogurt itself can be an excellent food. Plain Greek yogurt, in particular, is rich in protein. Protein helps you feel full and can slow how quickly carbohydrates are absorbed. The surprise comes from the flavored varieties. Some single-serving cups contain several teaspoons of added sugar. They may also include sweet fruit syrups or sugary toppings that change the nutritional picture. The front of the package might show fresh strawberries or blueberries, but the actual fruit inside is often only a small part of what's there. Think of it like buying a basket of apples but finding most of the basket filled with candy instead. From the outside, it looks healthy. Inside, it's a different story. A simple swap can make a big difference. Choose plain Greek yogurt and add your own fresh berries, sliced peaches, or a sprinkle of cinnamon. If you'd like a little extra crunch, a handful of chopped walnuts or almonds adds healthy fats and texture. On screen, choose plain plus add fresh fruit. Here's a real-life example. Susan, a retired teacher, believed she was making a smart choice every morning with a flavored fruit yogurt and a granola bar. After learning to read nutrition labels, she switched to plain Greek yogurt with blueberries and a few walnuts. She found she stayed full much longer and wasn't reaching for snacks before lunch. Everyone's experience is different, of course, but it's a good reminder that small changes can sometimes have noticeable benefits. And that brings us to another breakfast food that's often seen as healthy: Remprust. Granola. Granola has earned a healthy reputation over the years. It contains oats, nuts, and seeds. Those ingredients can certainly be part of a balanced diet, but many packaged granolas also contain added sugars, honey, syrups, and oils that increase both calories and the speed at which blood sugar may rise. The challenge is portion size. A serving is often much smaller than people expect. Many of us pour 2 or even 3 servings into a bowl without realizing it. Imagine filling your car with fuel. A little is necessary. Too much overflows the tank. The same idea applies here. Even nutritious foods deserve reasonable portions. If you enjoy granola, try using it as a topping instead of the main event. A spoonful over plain yogurt with fresh fruit gives you the crunch you enjoy without overdoing it. Little adjustments like this are often easier to maintain than completely giving up foods you love. But there's another morning habit that's just as important as what's on your plate. Most people don't think about it, yet it may influence how they feel all morning. On screen, don't skip protein. Many traditional breakfasts are built almost entirely around carbohydrates. Toast, jam, juice, sweet cereal, pastries. They're quick and convenient, but they may leave you feeling hungry much sooner. Protein helps slow digestion and supports your muscles, which become especially important as we age. Muscle tissue acts a bit like a storage space for glucose. The healthier your muscles are, the better your body can often manage blood sugar after meals. That's one reason strength training and adequate protein receive so much attention in healthy aging research. You don't need huge amounts. Including a source of protein at breakfast is often enough to make the meal more balanced. Some good options include on-screen, protein ideas, eggs, plain Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, unsalted nuts, nut butter without added sugar, tofu, or even leftovers from last night's dinner, if that's what you enjoy. There's no rule that breakfast foods have to look a certain way. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is balance. And speaking of balance, there's one breakfast item that often wears a healthy label but deserves a closer look. On screen, breakfast food #6. Breakfast pastries, muffins, sweet rolls, coffee cakes, even some breakfast bars. These foods are often convenient, especially on busy mornings, but many combine refined flour, added sugar, and unhealthy fats in one package. That combination can lead to a quick rise in blood sugar, followed by a drop that leaves you feeling tired or hungry again. It's a bit like lighting a piece of paper. You get a bright flame for a moment, then it's gone. Compare that with burning a thick log. It burns more slowly and steadily. Balanced meals work much the same way. They provide a steadier source of energy. That doesn't mean you can never enjoy a muffin at a family gathering or during a holiday breakfast. Healthy eating includes flexibility. It's your overall pattern that matters most. One special breakfast won't define your health. Neither will one imperfect morning. What matters is what you do most days of the week. That's encouraging because small habits are much easier to maintain over time. Now let's talk about one final mistake that many people make without even noticing. On screen, the breakfast mistake almost everyone makes: eating too quickly. This habit doesn't receive as much attention as food choices, but it can make a difference. When you eat very quickly, your brain has less time to recognize that you're becoming full. That may lead to eating larger portions than your body actually needs. Try slowing down. Put your fork down between bites. Chew your food thoroughly. Take a sip of water. Enjoy the conversation if you're eating with family. Breakfast doesn't need to feel rushed every single day. Many people find that simply eating more slowly helps them enjoy their meal more and notice fullness sooner. Another helpful habit is taking a short walk after breakfast. If your healthcare professional says it's appropriate for you, even a gentle 10 to 15-minute walk can help your muscles use some of the glucose from your meal. It doesn't have to be fast. Consistency is often more important than intensity. Of course, if you have balance concerns or other medical conditions, choose activities that are safe for you and discuss new exercise routines with your healthcare provider. Remember, these suggestions are based on general health education. They're not meant to replace advice that's specific to your personal health needs. In the final part, we'll bring everything together with a simple breakfast checklist, discuss when rising blood sugar deserves medical attention, recap the biggest takeaways, and answer one question many seniors ask: is oatmeal really as healthy as people say? That answer isn't as simple as you might think. One question comes up again and again: is oatmeal actually a healthy breakfast? The answer is yes, for many people it can be. But there's an important detail that often gets overlooked. On screen, is oatmeal healthy? Not all oatmeal is the same. Plain rolled oats and steel-cut oats are usually less processed than many instant-flavored packets. Because they contain more of the grain's natural structure, they're often digested more slowly. Think of it like burning a large piece of firewood instead of a handful of dry twigs. One tends to release energy more steadily. Many instant oatmeal packets, however, contain added sugar, flavored syrups, or sweet toppings. That doesn't mean you should never eat them. It simply means it's worth reading the nutrition label before putting the box into your shopping cart. A simple bowl of plain oatmeal can become even more balanced by adding fresh berries, chopped nuts, chia seeds, or a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt on the side. Those additions provide fiber, healthy fats, or protein that help create a more satisfying breakfast. The goal isn't to make breakfast complicated. It's to build a meal that gives your body steady fuel. Now, let's put everything we've discussed into one simple checklist you can remember. On screen, a smarter breakfast checklist. Before you sit down to breakfast, ask yourself a few simple questions. Does this meal include a good source of protein? Does it contain fiber from whole grains, fruit, vegetables, or nuts? Am I choosing mostly whole foods instead of heavily processed ones? Am I drinking water along with my meal? Will this breakfast keep me satisfied until lunchtime? You don't need every breakfast to be perfect. If you can answer yes to most of those questions most mornings, you're already moving in a healthier direction. That's an approach many people find realistic and sustainable. Another helpful habit is planning breakfast the night before. When we're rushed, convenience often wins, and convenient choices aren't always the most balanced. Preparing overnight oats, boiling a few eggs ahead of time, washing fresh berries, or portioning nuts into small containers can make healthy choices much easier when morning arrives. Remember, healthy aging is rarely about one dramatic change. It's usually the result of hundreds of small decisions repeated over months and years. Those small choices add up. Now let's talk about something equally important: knowing when lifestyle habits are enough, and when it's time to seek medical advice. On screen, when to see a healthcare professional. Occasional changes in energy after a meal can happen to anyone, but certain symptoms deserve professional attention. If you're feeling unusually thirsty all the time, if you're urinating much more often than usual, if you notice unexplained weight loss, if cuts or sores are taking a long time to heal, or if your vision becomes blurry or changes suddenly, don't ignore those signs. They don't automatically mean you have diabetes or another serious condition. There are several possible causes, but they're worth discussing with a qualified healthcare professional. The sooner concerns are evaluated, the sooner you can understand what's causing them, and if needed, begin appropriate care. If you've already been diagnosed with diabetes or prediabetes, don't make major changes to your eating plan or medications without speaking with your healthcare team. Even healthy foods can affect people differently depending on their medications, activity level, and overall health. That's why personalized advice is always important. And I'd like to repeat something that matters throughout this video. This is general health education, not personal medical advice. Always check with your doctor about your own situation before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have a medical condition or take prescription medications. The encouraging news is that many breakfast improvements are surprisingly simple. You don't have to chase the latest health trend. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't have to completely give up every food you enjoy. Instead, focus on steady progress. Choose whole foods more often. Add protein whenever you can. Include fiber at most meals. Watch for hidden added sugars. Pay attention to portion sizes. Eat a little more slowly. And stay physically active in ways that are safe and enjoyable for you. Those habits support much more than blood sugar. They can also contribute to better energy, help maintain muscle as you age, support heart health, and make it easier to stay active and independent. Let's quickly recap today's biggest takeaways. On screen, key takeaways. Some breakfast foods that seem healthy may contain more added sugar or refined carbohydrates than you expect. Breakfast cereals, fruit juice, flavored yogurt, granola, pastries, and white toast can all fit into a diet from time to time, but they deserve a closer look. Reading nutrition labels is one of the simplest ways to make more informed choices. Building breakfast around protein and fiber can help many people feel satisfied for longer. Small, consistent improvements usually have a greater impact than trying to follow a perfect diet for just a few days. And remember, healthy eating isn't about fear. It's about understanding your options and making choices that fit your life. Every healthy breakfast is another opportunity to take care of yourself, not because you have to be perfect, but because your future health is worth investing in, one meal at a time. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. I hope this information helps you feel more confident the next time you sit down for breakfast. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. On-screen question for you. Which breakfast do you eat most often? Is it oatmeal, eggs, toast, cereal, yogurt, or something completely different? And tell me where you're watching from today. It's always wonderful to see our community coming together from around the world. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing so you don't miss future evidence-informed videos on healthy aging, nutrition, mobility, heart health, and living well after 60. Until next time, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.